Hi there, my name's Ian Brennan and welcome to Magician's Advice Recommends. Now, this week in Magician's Advice Recommends, we've got something in the mysterious Hessian bag. Now, you might recognise this, you might not. Chances are you probably won't recognise the packaging. It's a bit of a bizarre way of packaging things, I have to say. I've never seen any other magic product come in a Hessian bag. Looks like it should be some sort of herbs or rosemary or thyme or something. But anyway, this is Exquisite. And it's one of Losander's products. A product called Exquisite. I can't show you more of the label because underneath my fingers is the instruction code, and that is all you get. You get the bag. Inside the bag there's a napkin and a special gimmick. I can show you the napkin, can't show you the special gimmick. And you get an instruction code of how to go and do it. I say I can show you the napkin, can't get it out. There we go. Here's the napkin you get included. It's quite a heavy duty napkin. And hang on, I haven't said, what does it do? What does Exquisite do? Exquisite is the ability to take a wine glass. You pop your napkin over the top and the wine glass appears to float in midair. Let's cut to a performance of me doing that here for you now. Exquisite, released by Losander. This effect, as hopefully I've just been able to show you, is a levitating wine glass. You cover it with a napkin and it floats up in the air. That's the essence of it. It's a lovely piece for parlour or even for stage if you've got the right cameras on you or a big screen. So a grand parlour situation, maybe even a stage. I use this in my parlour show. I use it sort of halfway through the second act as a moment of calm, and I have a card placed in. And when there's a card inside the glass, then the glass levitates. I use my own silk handkerchief. It's a pocket square. And then the card in is quite good as it covers a bit of the dirty work for you. Let's talk handkerchiefs first, and then we'll talk card. I use my own silk handkerchief rather than the one that's the cotton, I think it's cotton, napkin that's included. I find this one is a bit heavy and a bit chunky. Not too heavy to attach the gimmick and do the move with, but it looks too heavy for the audience. When this is on, that could be hiding all sorts of things behind it. It's a very heavy duty piece of material and it doesn't take the form of the glass particularly well. So it masks a lot of things, it hides a lot of things, but at the same time it could be hiding a lot of things as well. It's a bit more suspicious. The one that I tend to use is just a very lightweight silk pocket square. Because it's lightweight, it can't possibly be hiding anything, or so they think. It takes the form of the glass a lot easier, and you can see the card dangling in there quite nicely. It looks a lot more delicate, which makes it more impossible. At the end, Losander explains how to, when you're floating the glass, how to float it and land it on someone's hand, and then whip the cloth off to show that the glass is there. It looks so beautiful. That's what I do on my parlour show. I put the card in, float it around, get someone to balance their hand out, land it on their hand and take the cloth off. And because it's a bit unstable, it's a bit wobbly, the impossibility is sort of cemented into them. It's a really, really nice little effect. Losander suggests doing it with, not with a card, but with phone or another impossible object. Impossible object? Phone's not an impossible object. Start again. Losander suggests doing it with a phone or another object, and he suggests putting a phone in, and if you turn the screen on, you can then see the screen glowing through the cloth you're using, which is quite a nice idea. For me, my particular wine glass that I have, I couldn't fit a phone into it, so say Levy, I use a plot with a card and I get them to do Anniversary Waltz first. I use Garrett Thomas's Anniversary Waltz version. And then after they've done that, their doubly signed card goes into the glass. We talk about memories, we talk about moments in life and how sad moments and memories can make us feel down and how happy moments can make us feel light, and the glass floats. And it just sells the picture beautifully. I normally stand when I do it, so you get the extra height, comes up a little bit, it floats up all the way. They love it, I really do. And at the end, you're left in this clean situation. In my case, I do what Losander does, the glass lands on their hand, at which point you go south with the gimmick, you then come back up and you take the glass off and offer them the card. It's such a beautiful piece of theatre, it really is lovely. So we've talked a bit about what I put in the glass. You don't have to put anything in, I use a card. We've talked about the silks or the napkin that you can be that it's supplied with. You can do it with any napkin at a venue. So if you wanted, you really could take the gimmick around with you if you were so inclined, and you could use a venue's own napkin. If you may be table hopping, personally, I wouldn't feel happy concealing the gimmick table hopping at a venue. I know Losander says that you can. Personally, I wouldn't. That's just my own preference. And I'd rather take my own silk or napkin than have to rely on a venue having one or not that's up to my standard. If they do have one that matches, then great, we can use that. But I probably wouldn't do it in that situation anyway. I'd probably be doing something else on tables. It could be done. It's a beautiful piece of magic. But yeah, it's not me. When the gimmick goes and collects the glass, ready to float it, and it picks the glass up, there's a slight moment of talking between the gimmick and the glass. On the recording a few minutes ago, if you saw me perform, I would have cut the sound on that point because there's no other sound in this room. It's just me and the glass, and you'd hear it, just like you can hear this. You know, if this taps it, you can hear it. So if the gimmick, you can probably hear the dogs next door, when the gimmick touches the glass to pick it up, there's a tiny sound. In this environment, you can hear it because all you can hear is me. But in my parlour show with a tiny bit of music in the background, you can't hear a thing. And if you just talk over the moment when it connects, then you can't hear a thing either. So don't worry about that. The gimmick's really well made. It should last a lifetime. I don't know how it compares to other flotation gimmicks, and it's not really my place to say, so I won't get down that route. It's the sort of thing that if you had a bit of craftsman skills yourself, you could probably make a spare relatively easily, I would say, if you're a bit of a handyman or handy lady. But you know, I'm happy enough with just getting the one from Losander and sticking with that. It arrives in this mysterious bag. I've mentioned about putting the card in. The other thing you can do is when it's floating in the air, you can do the move that Losander does with the table, where you hold the corners and the glass is floating up in the air, and you get the spectators to lift the other corners up, and they can do it really, really well. And in my case, because I put a card in there, I ask them to check their signature. They lift it up all the way, they can see their signature, and just before they get too far and lift it over, the glass floats up and floats out the way. It really is a stunning bit of theatre. I wish it was my own creation. So yeah, they can lift it up, they can check underneath, there's no wires, there's no magnets or bits and bobs. It's deceptively brilliant. Losander recommends using a plastic glass. Personally, I think the spectators would hear the difference as you're moving the glass around. If they feel the glass, they'd feel the difference. So I'd say go for a glass one. Maybe practice with a picnic glass first, because if you drop your real glass, you're going to smash it. And it isn't a completely foolproof method like some of the levitations are. This levitation, if you don't, how to phrase it, if you don't use it perfectly, then you're going to drop the glass and you're going to break the glass, which could be dropping it on the table, could be dropping it on the floor. So just be careful with it. You've got to get used to it first. Lots of practice over a bed or very low levitations over a table, and you'll get the hang of it. But I loved this. It's something I've wanted for a few years, and then at Blackpool this year I went in and I went up to Losander and said, look, I've got to get this. He showed me how to do it, taught me through it a bit, and I loved it. Went straight in my show. I used it for a few months until we went into lockdown, and I can't wait to get it back out there again. So that is Exquisite by Losander. Just before you disappear off at the end of the video, I've got something of mine that I'd like to share with you and show you. It's my book. It's called Magical Musings, A Voyage to Better Magic. A bit of a tongue twister, by Ian Brennan, that's me. And inside this book there's a collection of essays and magic effects, which the magic effects are all from my own notebook, and the essays are a collection of essays that I wrote for the Magic Circle, and some essays that I've just written for myself and for theory's sake. So there's about 12 essays and 10 effects, and the book looks a bit like this. I think it's laid out quite nicely. You can see my close-up cases in there. You can see a bit of artwork going on, a bit of character description. The essays talk about how to create your character, how to create your style, how to present yourself, how to approach a table, how to manage your props and how to look after them, how to get your routine down to the nitty-gritty and get rid of the surplus moves, a bit about ethics and a bit about why you should perform things in certain ways. The effects are an out-of-this-world effect, 2 bullet catch routines, a Dr. Daly's Aces routine but with the cards flying around in the air as you flick them around, a mentalism routine with superhero names where the spectators will write down the superhero name, a mentalism routine with a chair routine where it's completely free choice. They choose a chair and the magician always gets it right, a mind reading routine with, oh no, I've done that one, a Chicago opener variation using stickers, a routine with invisible pen, a mnemonica stack deck routine, which is one that I use in my parlour show, and I love it to bits. It goes down really well, and I was torn between do I publish it or not, and then I thought, hell to it, I might as well publish it, and then it's stamped down there in history, isn't it? And my hooker duck routine, where you pick out hooker ducks from a carnival game and they predict a lottery ticket. So those are the effects, those are some of the essays. If you do fancy a copy of that, it's a hard physical copy, they are £15 plus postage. So it is a bit of money for a book, but at the same time, if you compare it to the big name books that are out there, it's not a lot of money at all. And you'd spend £15 on one trick, one little routine, whereas there's 10 routines in there and about 12 essays of magic theory to hopefully take magic to the next level. And even if you disagree with all the magic theory that's in there, I think it's still worth reading as a study to just put your stake in the ground and say, actually, I do disagree with that, or I do agree with it. I've sent them around the world at the moment to various different countries, so there's no problem posting it out to different places. Just bear in mind it takes a little bit longer to post it to certain places. If you're interested in getting a copy of that, drop me an email over at ianbrennanmagic@live.co.uk. That'll be in the description below, or maybe pop it up on screen. So that's A Voyage to Better Magic, a book by me. It'd be great to have some more people on board. If you fancy a copy of that, let me know. The effect for today was Exquisite by Losander, the floating wine glass, an effect I really love. Thank you for tuning in to Magician's Advice Recommends, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye bye.